Do you ever wonder what happens to a director when he loses complete control over his own movie? Malik Linton knows exactly how that feels. In 2016, Linton would put together a star-studded cast featuring Keanu Reeves, Armas, Christopher McDonald, and Mira Sorvino. So how did such a star-studded cast end up with reviews like this? Hi, my name is Alex, I'm a film enthusiast, and today I want to talk to you about the crazy story of how Exposed turned out so bad that the director himself wanted his name taken off the movie. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and let's dive in. In 2016, Keanu Reeves' production company would help produce the movie Exposed. And with that, Keanu Reeves would become one of the main actors in the movie. Ana de Armas would also sign on not long after. Both Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas would read the script and agree with the themes and ideas that Linton was trying to put forth in the movie. Malik Linton, director and writer, would decide to write a story on child abuse, sexual abuse, and abuse against women. The story that was released in 2016 to theaters goes like this. A police detective investigates the truth behind his partner's death. The mysterious case reveals disturbing police corruption and dangerous secrets involving an unlikely young woman. But how does this relate with the themes that Linton wanted? If we look at the story from the director himself, it goes like this. A thoughtful and semi-surreal story about extraordinary visions of a Latina woman and the effects they have on the Dominican family of the absent soldier husband she adores. Already you can see the contrast between the two stories. One side you have Keanu Reeves' main character, Scott Galvin, looking into his partner's death and maybe the corruption that went behind all that. And then on the other side, you have Isabel, Ana de Armas' character, and the faith and religion that she has and what she might have seen in the movie. So how can a movie with the same director and writer end up with two completely different narratives? In the final stages of any movie, the final part is the editing. It is a time when you sit down with your editor, your director, and your writers, and you make sure that the vision you had planned out shows up on screen. Unfortunately, this isn't what happened to Malik Linton. He was taken completely out of the editing phase of the movie. Not only him, but his editors as well. Lionsgate premiere and producers would take over editing control of the movie. This left the vision and interpretation of the movie to people who weren't closely tied with the movie. To reiterate, they left out the guy who wrote and directed and had the vision for the movie completely out of one of the most crucial stages of the filmmaking process. Thankfully, we have both the theatrical release and Malik Linton's director's cut available to us, so let's take a look at them. There are two clips that just played, and they don't seem that different from each other. But there's a tone and pacing that isn't in the theatrical release. Now, these things alone aren't enough necessarily to put Exposed to shame and how it was edited, but there are a bunch of sequences in the theatrical release that just don't make sense in terms of editing and sequences. For example, one of the scenarios where I couldn't provide an example is there was a couple of cuts in one of the scenes that just didn't make sense. For example, we cut to somebody holding something and then you do a wide angle shot of the same person holding something and that object is no longer in the same spot of the last frame. A continuity error that shouldn't be happening at a production level like this. The theatrical release doesn't allow for a lot of time for each character to develop. It does a lot of cuts back between both Ana de Armas and Keanu Reeves, trying to divide the time of the stars on screen. But if we look at Malik Linton's version, there's quite clearly a narrative there, and there's no drive to have one actor be on screen more than others. It's really tell the story, no matter at what cost. Because of the way director Malik Linton was treated in the final stages of Exposed, he requested for his name to be removed completely from the movie as a director, but his name stayed as the writer for the movie. The name that would show up under director on release day would be Declan Dale. Linton believed that the movie no longer represented the vision and the themes that he had in place for the movie, and that's one of the reasons why he removed his name from the movie. On a Reddit AMA, or Ask Me Anything, Linton would respond to a couple of questions regarding the movie. One of the questions asked was, Keanu was a producer on the film, did he get any say in the changes that were made? To which Linton would respond, no, not at all. That was only the studio side, but he was definitely super supportive of me. He's actually the one who fought for me to go to Paris to do my director's cut. Without his help, the director's cut would have never happened, so kudos to Keanu for that. Another question would ask, what's your feelings on the studios having sort of final say on the changes to a movie? Linton would respond, well, if they hire a director to direct for them, then they should absolutely have a final say. Interestingly, Linton would actually come to Lionsgate's defense in a response to a question. Linton would say, they really didn't know what the movie was about when they bought it. But I will give them credit. They really tried to make it work out. Linton would conclude with, I don't think directors should be able to do whatever the hell they want, but proper discussion and planning should happen at the outset. One of the final questions Linton responded to about the movie, which surprised me, was this one here. What was the fallout like to your taking your name off the film? Linton would say, I don't really know, but much better than the fallout would have been if I kept my name on it. But I did get a really lovely solidarity letter from one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. That was really nice.